Welcome to episode 163 of The Rewind, a podcast dedicated to keeping its listeners on the cutting edge of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Adulting is hard, and it can be tough to keep up with the multiple Joppa and Bronson streams on top of daily patch notes flying out to squash those bugs. We get it. Let us do the work for you. Draq and I always want to take the first minute to thank all of you for showing up on Saturdays at noon Eastern or listening to us after the premiere. This is a labor of love for you, the community, and words can't describe our appreciation for you coming back each week. If this is your first episode, welcome. And if you like what you hear, click ye old like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Also, if you appreciate the amount of work that Draq puts into this podcast and are in a place financially where you can support the channel further, please take a look at our Patreon. The money goes back into the production of the show and allows us to give away pledges on future channel streams. Lastly, Draq and I, to our detriment, like to find the humor in both the good and the bad in each week of updates. We will celebrate the wins harder than any show and make our opinions known when something doesn't seem right. I promise you, this is not a show of Pantheon fluff, and if you agree or disagree with us, please let us know in the comments. All opinions are valid, and we would love to hear what you have to say. Now, on with the show.
Our gaming weeks.
Gaming weeks.
Woo!
And my axe. Make sure that's in there.
So Dymlos, Lord of the Rings, mother of all fantasy.
I love it. I love the IP. You know, we did a top 5 4 weeks ago. That was a month ago at this point. Anyway, love Lord of the Rings. Can't get enough of it.
Lord of the Rings, Return to Moria. I'm very excited about this.
Whoop, whoop, whoop,
Yeah.
whoop, 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 whoop.
It'll be very exciting. I don't know. You probably know this, but Moria is my absolute favorite setting in Lord of the Rings. I love the goblins. And I love the Balrog.
For sure. That was the best scene in all 3 movies. That scene where Peregrine Took should throw himself into the well and all those trolls or the goblins and the cave trolls come out. Oh, it just gets me riled up even thinking about it. Best part of movie 1 and honestly best part of the whole series. Best war scene. I know the scene, the big number 3, the big number 2, you know, they were good. Don't get me wrong, but nothing is more badass than the 9 battling an entire, I don't know, family, guild. What do you call
Clan?
A gaggle of goblins? A clan. Yeah, let's go with that. A clan of goblins. That was so badass. How 9 fighters, and 4 of them were hobbits that couldn't do anything except wield a frying pan and wear some mithril tunic that saved his life. And you know, it just was a good part of the movie and book for that matter.
For those of you that may not know, Lord of the Rings Return to Moria is a new Lord of the Rings game that came out today. As we are recording, it came out. We haven't even played it yet. The footage that you're seeing on the screen is from post-production. So we are super excited to play this game. It's kind of a survival meets crafting meets building meets MMO adventure meets co-op game. And it looks really, really good.
So this is what we're going to do instead of telling you 1,000 times that we're playing the same games over and over again, because that's what MMO people do. We have to invest a ton of time into it. So we're going to invest some time into this, and hopefully it's a lot of fun. Obviously an IP that Draq and I desperately want to give a shot to. You know, anytime a Lord of the Rings game comes out, I definitely want to give it a go. Even if I have to be a dwarf. So game on.
Game freaking on. Let's go, Lord of the Rings. Welcome, Adventuring Party. This week we have brand new adventurers. Woohoo! This week, joining the crew, we have Annoying Llama on the Human Monk and Screech on the Scarbard. They are, of course, joining Ziplocs on the Darkmere Rogue and Grogu on the Human Warrior. Anton Doviditis on the Darkmere Shaman Glyphkeeper, and last but not least, Chero Dude on the Gnome Warrior. We appreciate your support and we thank you so much. We're off to a dungeon. Let's go!
This week in Visionary Realms News and Notes.
So, Dymlos, I don't know if you know this, but we had a huge 3-day stream, 4 like 8-hour streams. It was crazy. We called it the Triple H Hardcore Pantheon Dungeon Stream, Hardcore Halnir's Hangout Triple H.
Well done. You remembered all 3 H's. I'm proud of you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad that you like doing these things. To my detriment, but no. It's good stuff. It's a lot of fun. We got to see the new update. Yeah. I'll let you briefly overview our adventure from 1 to 13.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of done this stuff before, so it's kind of fun. But the most important part is that we've got all of kind of the trivial leveling of all the stuff we've seen before out of the way, and we got it all done in like a 3-day period. So now I think next week will be this upcoming Monday. We'll be able to go into Halnir's. We'll be of a great level to be there, and hopefully they'll have some fixes coming soon. We'll get into that a little bit later, though.
Yeah, I'm glad that we kind of knocked all this stuff out. I know we had to use an After Dark stream for a little bit more leveling, but we hit 14. We're going to try and hit 15, maybe 16 if we can before Monday, and hopefully that we are able to go further in than our Triple H VOD shows. We were only able to make it to the stairs in the first room, which is not far. It was pretty intense pulling and all that stuff, but like Draq said, we'll talk about that here shortly. But yeah, go back and check out those VODs if you haven't. Halnir's is beautiful, so definitely if you haven't seen it yet, go take a look at that. See your first look at it. We gave away some pledges, which was awesome. We were able to give away 4 pledges. Yeah. Thank you to our Patreon people for allowing us to be able to do that. So giving back to the community whenever we can with like I said in the intro, this labor of love that we do.
Labor of love. Well, in addition to that, we do have some patches. It's been patched twice now.
Yeah, that's more patches than normal for sure.
The XP rate has been definitely lowered. I don't know if you know that as well. Like the XP is.
Are we talking again, or are we talking
originally?
Since the wipe?
Originally, it went way down, right? So like it's taking a lot longer to level. Now that was expected because we were at triple XP before, but it's like it's back to do like original EQ XP. Like it takes you a solid, couple hours to get a level for sure, at least if that's it, and that's under the most optimal conditions.
And I think we're still trying to tune things as well, because on a couple streams, Joppa said dungeon mobs should be 6 to 6.5 times what an outside a dungeon mob should be like. And that was definitely not the case. The XP slowed way down when we were in Halnir's. Like, we were getting better XP at Manor than we were getting at Halnir's. Yeah. Now, there's still, chevron mobs, upward chevron mobs now, but it's still there should be some sort of dungeon / dangerousness bonus in XP that we should be getting, but it's not happening. The pulls are slow. Everything takes slow. The skill to stay there is a lot more difficult. So fun. It was fun to be there. We were there probably a little early. Did Joppa say 10 and we went at 12 and it was still rough? I want to say maybe even 14 would be more likely to be have a better outcome. So if we're 16 by Monday, should be good.
We do have a couple of other nice things that were added. They've added some group mobs to the Overland for people that want to get into grouping earlier. So like those burglars and the bandits, those are now
the G'days.
Chevron mobs. So if you want to group up at level 5 and you want to hit some burglars and bandits at level 5, you could totally do that. And I think that's great because I'm the type of guy that wants to go 1 to 50 grouping the whole way. I don't want to solo till 10. Like, that's dumb to me.
Yeah. Yep. That's super boring. And, this is, there have been a lot of people in Joppa's chat saying, oh, the skill up, it goes from 0 to 100 when you enter a dungeon. Well, no. Here's where the skill up is. You use these group mobs to hone your skills, and then when you go inside the Goblin Cave at 10, 12, or Halnir's at 14, you're already good. You know your class. You know what is expected of you. You know how to do all the chain things that DPS do, and now I guess tanks as well, and healers have joined the what is it called, Draq? The
Technique system,
when you open
advanced
in,
combat technique system.
techniques. Yeah, so now everyone can join in on the technique stuff and play around with that. So this is your chance to hone your skills. Is now those outside group chevroned up mobs. So we laugh at the chevron up, but it's quite the big thing for Draq, honestly. So
Yeah, absolutely. But this season has come with also a few big issues, in my opinion. Number one, I know they keep saying that they fixed this, but I have not seen it. And we played yesterday, and then, like, it's still there. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's still there. Mobs just have unlimited mana, and they just cast like there's no tomorrow. You don't have an enchanter in your group that can cast the spell slowing, where you cast it on a mob and then they cast spells slower. If you don't have that, like, that mob is just going to sit there and machine gun cast spells forever. Like, it's forever. There's no limit to the amount of spells that they can cast.
Yeah, it's definitely broken, and I think we did have this fixed, or at least moderately better, maybe a patch or two ago before the wipe. Like, we put all this stuff in, and it just reverted right back to the ridiculous cast times where, and they don't stop. Like, a mob should cast a spell, do a little auto attacking, cast another spell, go back to a little auto attacking. It shouldn't just be spell, spell, spell. Even spell slingers that are dispositioned as that shouldn't do as much as what we are seeing off of normal mobs. If it says spell slinger, then I'm a little more forgiving of seeing a spell after spell after spell. Maybe they cast 3 spells in a row and do an auto attack rather than just one. But then there's just no difference. Like, everyone is a spell slinger. And the issue was, it wasn't unlimited mana. It was unlimited mana regen. They were gaining more mana back per cast than they were using to cast the spell. So they basically did have unlimited mana, but it wasn't that they were like casting mana free or anything. It wasn't broken like that. It was just their regen was off the charts for whatever reason. So hopefully they got that under wraps. Hopefully they do now have a limited mana pool, and we're just seeing that this whole crazy amount of casting is what the issue is, and they just need to fix it again. It's just, it always, we were talking about this on the weekend. It just feels like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. We get a fix in, and then we take the 2 steps forward, and then we do this patch and we wipe everything, and it's like we reverted back, and none of that really helped. And we got all this new stuff, great, but we lost all the stuff that we worked on, and now we got to go back and put it all in. So it's just a little frustrating, especially when we took an entire weekend, not necessarily off because it's the weekend, but we took an entire weekend to play and test Pantheon and show it to the people, and it's not working. We could barely go into Halnir's, and we ain't no dum-dums. We've played Pantheon. All 6 of us have played Pantheon for a very long time now. And we know the mechanics, and we know what to look for. And we are proficient in our classes for the most part. Looking at you, Draq. Just kidding. I'm just kidding, buddy. And we still couldn't handle the first room. Like, we had to use a cheesy zone cheese, cheesy zone cheese to be able to even split the mobs. And by then, we were still getting wrecked. My goodness, some of those mobs, and Joppa talked about this particular Ravager on his stream either this week or last week. That thing is rough. Like you get this move that he does. It's very similar to what the spiders do in the spider cave, where if you don't move out of the way, you just get blasted. And now, instead of just the blast and having to deal with that, it's on to the next step. The mob will stun you and then do the ravage on you, so you can't even move out of the way. You just have to hope that your enchanter or wizard can stun it, or maybe the healer can save and heal through you. Maybe you have a cleric that can put a ward on you. That'd be awesome. But it is what it is on that. It was a lot of fun. Getting wrecked. We got wrecked a lot in there, but it was still worth it. We still ended up getting XP because the death penalty wasn't on. Good stuff. It was fun, beautiful. Can't wait to get further in there on Monday. Check us out.
There are a couple of other things that I want to bring up. I'm not sure if this is fixed yet. It's hard to tell. But mob's aggro range was crazy. And so you would like you'd pull one mob and you'd get 6. And it's obviously not designed for 6, right? In Pantheon, they want you dealing with less amount of mobs. You don't want to take on 10 mobs because it's not that type of game. And so when you pull 6 mobs, you're having a bad day. It's awful.
Well, it was the whole room, depending on pathing. So I get Joppa talked about this in the streams as well. I've been kind of watching them just to see how the updates are coming along. But I guess what is happening is it was chaining, assisting. So usually when you pull a mob, it's supposed to chain, shot to one other person or one other mob in the area, and they will come investigate with him. And what's happening is that then that mob gets alerted and they alert another mob, and that mob gets alerted and they alert another mob. So literally just whatever's in the room is coming with it. Now, I do think this one is fixed, but I have not, because we were in Manor the last time, and I have not been able to see proof of a fix, but we'll find out Monday, won't we?
Also, just FYI, hopefully to your benefit, apparently when you die and you have things in your starter bag, which in your bags, if you look, it's called the adventure bag. If you have items in that, you may lose them when you die. So Sab actually came in Pantheon and shouted in all chat, "Hey, if you got your starter bag, make sure you put it in the bank." just.
I think you lose the bag.
Oh, you lose
too.
the bag too. Oh, that's awful. So it's a pretty big deal. So make sure. So we crafted some bags and then we put our starter bags in the bank. That's kind of how I guess you work around that. I don't know.
For now.
Also, a big deal, a huge deal for us because we only have one healer in our group, and that healer is a shaman.
Mr. C, the ranger.
No, that's a ranger heal. That's not the same thing. We only have one healer. That healer is a shaman, and one of his very main spells for shaman healing is called Hurry the Pass. So what that does is take any hot, heal over time, or any set of hots on a character, and it finishes them to completion. So you get a huge chunk of health that way. But it costs a percentage of your total mana. It's supposed to be 10%, but somehow it got messed up. It's now 1,000% of your mana is drained. So you only get one cast of that bad boy. So it's not good.
Make sure it's needed, and the last heal you make, because
that's
you ain't
it.
No
that's
more.
all there is. And then just to poke it to the healers some more, healers can't res themselves. So
has this ever been fixed? This has been a thing for a long time. Here's how you fix it.
Dev Dymlos, here it is. Dev Dymlos, tell us how to fix it.
EverQuest 2 did it best. There's a move called Supplication, and it just reses everybody and reses everybody around you. You pop up and then you res everybody around you. It's just that easy. Just have a self resurrection. It's only for you. You pop yourself up and res up the rest of your team or raid. That easy.
Well, at the very least, when your group wipes and you res everybody else, you should at least be able to res yourself, because that's super brutal. And then it kind of makes it so you really, really want 2 healers in your group, so then they can res each other. Because if you lose the res, that means you're losing like 10% experience. It's rough.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I don't want to play healer. Like that keeps me away. I love playing the cleric. It was a very strong healer, and you know, the wards very, very strong, and you can use them for all sorts of damage, not just incoming melee damage. So very strong, and to not be able to get my experience back, why would I ever want to play healer? It's a detriment to me. So I don't
It's
know.
rough. But they're going to fix all these things. They know their issues. You know, maybe by the time you're listening to this, they're already fixed. Who knows? And now it's time for Joppa Says, because everything that Joppa says is gold.
More like a grain of salt.
All right, so we've had a bunch of streams since we've had a rewind last.
Yeah, like 5
streams. Yep, 5 Joppa streams.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of streaming.
At like 4 hours a pop. That's a lot. I guess some of them were pretty short, but yeah, usually they go about 4 hours.
But to be fair, he's up to like almost an hour of EQ Guesser, and then now he's added Wordle into the mix. So like the first, like you can fast forward every Joppa stream like at least 45 minutes. So if you don't want to do all that stuff, if you just join his stream like 45 minutes late, that's when the Pantheon starts. So
it's so funny. Even today, like I don't see the push notification until a half hour into the stream, and I look at that push notification. Oh, Joppa started 25 minutes ago. Oh, okay, great. I haven't missed anything. Then I pop in, and he's still getting ready for Wordle.
It's 100% true. But we do have some things to talk about for sure. We've had very large conversations about chevrons and group mobs.
This is a big deal. It turns out this is a huge deal amongst people. And I know, like, I've bitched about the conning system and all that stuff, but like everyone has an opinion on this, and everyone is different. Like, I don't think anyone agrees on any
emotionally charged.
Like, it's unbelievable. People get heated in Joppa's stream, and he doesn't look at everything, especially when it gets into heated moments and the chat moves too quickly. But the rest of us that are in the chat are watching it, and people are having some words. There are some very as we call it, the loud minority that's in there, and they get heated and potentially call me names when I say things. But
be honest, do you deserve it? Do you deserve it?
No, maybe. I don't think so. I didn't say anything. I was even jovial after it. Like, I try to be nice to the people that think they know what they're talking about, but they don't really have any idea because they can't even change their smoke alarm batteries. But it is what it is. But yeah, a lot of heat about this. A lot of heat.
If you don't know, there is a visual indicator for group mobs now. It's a chevron. It was a chevron that was pointing down. It's now a chevron that's pointing up.
And don't feel bad if you missed this, because Draq only saw this for the first time ever last night.
I played for 3 days straight, and I had no idea. Like, I didn't even see it.
I mean, it's been there for longer than that, my man. Oh yeah.
I attack whatever the group tells me to attack, and I don't even really attack till like the mob's at least 75% dead. I don't even touch it.
Wizard bloodlust.
Dude,
I get
otherwise, I'm either going to kill myself or no, I'm just going to kill myself. That's basically what's going to happen. So I don't even. It doesn't matter to me because I'm only damaging a mob that's already damaged. That's my rule.
I just am shocked that people are so passionate about chevrons or heroic mobs or whatever you want to call it.
Here's what I don't understand, and this is the part that just baffles me. There's a large contingent of people that want that to be hidden. They want, whether it's a group mob or whether it's not a group mob, to be hidden, and you have to find out. You just have to go up there and poke it with a stick and be like, splat. Oh, guess that's a group mob. Found out the hard way. What?
I would never solo anything ever. What a waste. And you're taking a 10% death penalty on that because you're alone? I don't think so. That's why we have a conning system. Like that's such a huge integral part of an EverQuest, related game, not a carbon copy, but when EverQuest is the vision, you use the conning mechanic. That's the whole part of that button, or you would just take it away and you do what Embers Adrift or EverQuest 2 does, and just when you click on it, you see what rating it is in comparison to you, rather than conning it. But now we've got a con system. Like we're back to that because it's EQ inspired, right? So just use the con button, and that will never be hidden. It shouldn't be hidden. That is information that if I make a perception check, and maybe we put it against a stat, and I am able to do a perception check and con it that way, that could be cool. And then it could potentially be hidden, and I could mess up the roll, and it would be, who knows? But I just let me con the damn mob. Just I need to know what I'm looking at.
Roughly, it does not exactly, but roughly, I have to know what the heck is going on.
Yeah. I mean, I know the conning system itself, the different colored tiers are out of whack, but
it's something.
Yeah, it's at least something. Unbelievable how heated people are about this.
So Joppa went on to say, like, hey, we've come a long way since EQ, and so we need more challenge. And the only way that they can add more challenge into the game is to have mobs that are more centered around being solo or smaller groups content. And then we have mobs that are designed for 6-person groups. Because if you don't design the mobs for 6-person groups, the people are just going to mow through them. That's basically what's going to happen. So
for sure.
And I don't get that mentality of like, oh yeah, I want to be hardcore and not see what any of the mobs are. And it's like, well, yeah, but like it's just dumb. The whole thing is just dumb.
And then you spend 8 hours doing solo mobs. Well, that was great. What a giant waste of my time.
Also, I had to mention, because it's just like this giant eye roll for me, is that possibly they will add a toggle for Chevron group mobs.
Whatever. I know people are anti-toggle, but if this is what the people really, really want the developers to spend their time on, I guess make it so. I don't care about toggles. It doesn't affect me at all. You play the game how you want to play it. But when I come back at you and say, why did you attack that group mob alone? And you tell me, oh, I've got my toggle off. Well, then you're out of the group. Bye.
Out. Dude, I think I'm gonna make it. I think I'm gonna make a merch shirt, a t-shirt. I think I'm gonna make Pantheon Rides of the Toggles, because this toggle thing is getting out of control.
There's a lot of toggles going on, and it's okay for, if I don't want to see horses, or I don't want to see whatever stuff you've purchased on the cash shop, whatever. But this is so stupid. This is like just a huge waste of time. Stop wasting Kyle's time with this bullshit.
100% agree. Joppa talked.
He doesn't have enough.
Joppa talked a little bit about a language filter and a name filter for EA, and he wants to get that in. Are you in favor of a language filter and a name filter?
I mean, language, we'll toggle that off because we toggle everything. If I want to see the F word in OOC, then so be it. And there are lots of people that like to use the F word in OOC, and so that's okay by me. The F word doesn't bother me any, but some people do, and I get that. I respect that.
Oh, I was going to say, I think the main thing is for, like, if I want to play with my kids, right? Like, if I want to log my kids on and I want to play with them, then I have to be in an environment where, like, they can't be reading chat and seeing all that. Like, it's got that's someplace where I think the toggle actually should exist.
Absolutely. They certainly can't play with Uncle Dymlo.
No, they cannot. They cannot play with Uncle Dymlos. That's a bad plan.
But yeah, the language filter good. The big thing is with the names. Like there are people that have all uppercase letter names, and I will quote Joppa exactly. It does not look professional, and he's right. It doesn't look good. it looks real dumb. So maybe like if you in a surname, if you've got like a Mick whatever, or you have the small letter and then you have the larger secondary part of your last name, totally fine. But yeah, if you're just in all caps and you're blasting your name at me, like you're yelling your name to everybody, get out. Get out. This speaks back to when we were in EQ days and guilds would put their tag in all capital letters. Are you stupid?
Remember the guild name? Do you remember the all caps guild name that we mocked ceaselessly forever?
Oh, you're going to have to...
Dark Alliance.
Oh, Dark Alliance.
In all caps,
so
Dark Alliance.
Terrible. If you were in the Dark Alliance guild, then I feel terrible for you.
We would avoid those guild people like the plague.
Oh,
like there was
100%.
They'd be like looking for a group, and we would who them in EverQuest. And if they were part of the Dark Alliance guild, we were just like, sorry, we're full.
Honestly, I am sad to see that the guild stuff has been pushed back to after EA is or at least right at EA when it launches, because I want people to sort themselves out. I want to see a guild tag and be like, "Yep, definitely not grouping with that guy."
It's a real easy way to sort it out.
Yeah, it's super easy. It makes my job really easy. I don't have to do any testing. I can just see your guild tag and see you are aligned with an idiot and not invite you to my group.
Dymlos is only going to have 3 people he can group with on the server.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I'm going to have to change my name.
That's awesome. Hey, here's a huge change. Buffs are going to remain on the characters after you remove them from the buff bar. So basically what that means is you can cast every buff on every person in your group, and then you're going to be able to take the buffs off your bar and then put other spells on the bar and then go about your business. So the buffs are no longer tying up slots on your secondary bar. How do you feel about that?
I'm pretty torn. I'm not going to lie to you, Draq. I really appreciate the limited action window that we have, or limited action bar, that we use. And I do feel like if the buff is important enough to be on your bar, it should be on your bar the whole time. If you're going to go into combat with it, then it needs to be on your bar. So, but that being said, I also like that you can buff other people. My biggest kicker with the whole thing is that it's not around it's one way or the other. It's just that they can't figure out how to make it work, right? Like it's a bug that they can't make work.
This isn't a design decision. This is we can't figure it out decision.
I am pretty sure, because we've been dealing with this the entire time. It's been kind of unbelievable. The buffs can't persist through zoning, and that's because the character is not in the zone you're going into. And so since the character's not there, like if a shaman buffs me and I zone into AVP, if the shaman is not in there before I get there, I lose his or her buff. And that's a problem. It shouldn't be that way, but they can't seem to make that function. And that's the reason that we're not able to. This is why it has to be one way or the other. They can't figure out how to make both work. Both. Yeah, it's just really unbelievable to me. Like I do feel that if the buff is strong enough, like the cleric buff, that thing that adds a bunch of AC to all the party members, that's a huge buff, and it absolutely should be part of the skill set. Clerics don't have much to begin with to take off their bar anyway. They've got a bar full of buffs. So what happens when they can take it off? Now they don't have anything. They literally just have the 4 heals that they can do, and that's about it. Great for shamans. They can take off their buffs. And they penalize this the wrong way. They've taken away the group buffing aspect and now it's individual buffing. That's their way to nullify this whole issue is to make it individual buffing. I was in the chat for this Joppa stream, and I was like, Joppa, just make more buffs or just make more spells. I don't care if I have to pay more money for a group buff. Put that in there so that I've got a buff for the group, and that is what I leave on when I persist. And I've got individual buffs for when I'm at the well or when I'm, at a place where I'm freely giving out buffs. This is the buff that can come off my bar that I can give to other people. And he was hesitant to comment about that. He did see it and said that he didn't like that sort of idea of making more spells.
Dude, I love that idea. I think that's brilliant. I think that you have solved the whole problem right there.
I completely agree, and I came up with it off the hip, after he started talking about it. But he doesn't like it, and that's fine because it's not my game. And but I do feel that buffs, if they are that important, should be a part of your bar. You shouldn't be able to take them off in combat. So
we're quickly approaching EverQuest 2 with the number of bars that we need. We're up to 3 bars already, and we don't even have a miscellaneous bar that they've also promised us with like macros and potions and all this other clickable stuff, right? So we're already up to 3 bars, right? The limited action system kind of seems like it's just going out the window, and it's just like use whatever you got.
Yep, exactly right. This game is supposed to be very poignant when it comes to what skills you bring to the table. And if I'm able to just take off and put on what I want, well, what happens when another paladin comes into the group? Well, now we just do the same thing. What happens when another shaman comes in? It was always, okay, I've got these 2 buffs and I've got these 2 buffs, and now we can both do more in our skill set because we don't have to worry about having 4 buffs on our bar. It was perfect. Like that's what brought I now want 2 shamans in my group. It makes perfect sense to me that why it makes multiple of the same class viable. But now that's not the case anymore.
There was a sweet spot in there where that was absolutely the case, where you wanted 2 shaman in your group if that was available. Like you would absolutely take 2 shaman, and you could do that instead of taking a shaman and a cleric. And it was totally viable because each of the shaman would pass out their buffs, and you'd have the entire spectrum of shaman buffs rather than just half. And it was really good. And I liked the way it felt, and I thought it was cool. And I just thought, okay, well, they just don't have all the cleric spells in yet. The clerics are going to get more buffs, and then at some point, you're going to be okay with 2 clerics in the group because you're going to have all the different sets of cleric buffs too. But it just doesn't seem like that's the way they're going, and I think it's kind of sad.
Yep, and same way with melee. There was, as a paladin, I've got more skills than what I can put on my bar. And if I was a secondary tank in there, I could use those other things rather than use my aggro or have all 4 of my aggro things up at one time, or, whatever the case may be. Is having 2 of the same classes is a good thing. You never know what's going to be playing, and people should be able to play what they want. They shouldn't just be like, well, I can't find a group, so I better play an enchanter, even though I suck at it and hate it.
The worst.
That should never be the case. Every group should be wanting to have anyone that's available. That's how it always should be.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, I'm sorry, we already have a wizard. You can't join us. That's a horrible, horrible feeling.
That's happened so many times to me, I can't even count.
Well, how do you feel about this? Joppa says, PvP server for early access? Maybe.
Whatever. That's all I have to say about that. Fine. If you want your own PvP server, get over there and do your PvP thing.
I hope this is just Joppa placating the PvP people and like the huge grain of salt, right? The huge.
I'm so tired of those 2 people that wanted a PvP server. Why are you playing this game? What? I don't. It breaks my brain. This is not a PvP game. What do you want to do? Be a Dire Lord and just own everybody because that's what they do. You can harm touch everybody. You're dumb. Why are you playing this game? It's a teamwork game. It's not a person versus person game. Come on.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I don't understand it. I don't understand I mean, we've talked about it before. I think that Joppa and VR need to take some hard stances on some stuff. And this just seems like super low hanging fruit. No, we're not doing PvP. We're not doing it. Not until we have a game that's solid and maybe a release date and all this other stuff and needs to be in place. It needs to be fixed. We can't talk about PvP. I'm sorry. No.
Again, stop wasting Kyle's time with your dumb bullshit. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, some people think that we're wasting Kyle's time by adding the more complex combat system. And they think that like races and clashes should be in and all the other stuff should be figured out, and that we shouldn't be adding combat systems into the game when we don't have other stuff to do. So Joppa kind of defended it a little bit. He said that first of all, that this combat system was part of the original design of the game, that they wanted the game to be more complex and they had to have a system to do that, that what EverQuest did wasn't good enough and that it needed to be more to make the game that they wanted to make. And he feels like right now that on the back end, at least, that it's in a really good spot. But it just needs some work on the front end side. It needs some UI stuff. It needs a lot of balancing, but this is the direction that they want to go, and this is the direction that they've always wanted to go, and they're just getting it there. How do you feel about the combat system? Do you feel like it's worth the time to put it in?
I absolutely appreciate this. This gives people more things to do. It does make it more challenging. You have the ability to lessen a mob's sort of output of damage to a tank, or slows things down if you don't have a shaman, or this is all good stuff. This is what makes it so you can have a group of 6 summoners and it's not the end of the world. It's not as OP as we thought it was, but you can get along without it.
Let's not get carried away.
Fair. Needed to interrupt. Or 5. But yeah, no, this is where it should be. Like, combat should be good, and it needs to be in place before EA. Let's just say December. It needs to be in before December. I'm tired of saying EA. It absolutely needs to be in before this thing in December. And it's really important that when people get their first look of Pantheon ever, that combat is complete. They know what to expect from it. And it's just so vital to the game. It's literally the game. Don't get me wrong. I am all about Fashion Quest. Very much so. But I can't have Fashion Quest without a game that people want to play. And if it's EQ boring, then no one's going to stick around to see my fashion. So, and then the game goes away and I no longer have my fashion either. And I've got nothing. So let's get our priorities straight, people, because it is definitely not Fashion Quest. I want Dark Myr more than anything in the world in the game right now. But what I also want is a functioning game. And it's a great game. It's fun. It's good where it's at, but it can be so much better. And it does need to be fine-tuned. This new thing, I'm glad we revamped it because it's refreshing. It's good. It makes the team work together. Like, if you can't just hop on and be mindless. If you're going into Halnir's, you need to be on your A game. Now, there should still be places where you can go, like Manor, where you can still get decent XP. If you're not feeling like being on your A game that day, then you don't have to be. You can go to a place that's not Halnir's Cave, and you don't have to necessarily open and close all these techniques. That's fine too. There should be a place for that. But if you want to do something hard, if you want to go take out that spider at the bottom of Mad Run, then you need to know how to play, like use all your skills, everything that's on your bar. So I think it absolutely needs to be there. Hashtag keep it hard. That's I stole that from Just Let Me Play the Damn Game. Hashtag keep it hard.
100%. You know, there's another game with the initials EA that kind of has some really boring combat. Like, it's not exciting. It's not exciting.
I thought that was your favorite
It's not exciting.
game.
It's not exciting at all. And really, it's just a slog, and it doesn't keep me interested, and I really don't care. And it's part of what like drove me away from the game. I love the developers. I love the game, but like it drove me away from the game. The combat's boring. I'm sorry. I don't want to say that, but
It's just because it doesn't have magic. The combat is not boring. You're
It's
ridiculous.
boring.
You just couldn't get over, oh, I'm firing my
Boring.
bow.
Boring. Anyway,
Yeah,
we have to spice it up. We're 2024. This isn't 1999 anymore. We need more than just the vanilla. So you got to have this in here. Otherwise, it's just going to be boring.
Yeah. Yep. No, I totally agree. This is what the people are looking for. They're not looking for necessarily how it looks. I know that's going to be a huge thing that people bitch about, but that's the last stuff that goes in.
100%.
If this is the combat that was originally proposed, and when the game first came out, then this is their vision. Let them put their vision and make sure that the players are having fun with the combat, which is 95% of the game. Unless you're a crafter, then it's 45% of the game, because crafting is so unbelievably ridiculous right now. But that being said, let the players play the game, and Fashion Quest can come later.
I mean, it has to. There's no way around it. So Joppa talked a little bit about still wanting to adjust experience, because he wants groups to go into dungeons. He wants groups to take the risk involved in delving into a dungeon and the danger that's involved there, because they are dangerous. Mad Run, super dangerous. Halnir's super dangerous. But right now the problem is that it's not worth the risk. You don't get enough experience. The drop rates aren't good enough to where you are willing to take the risk of going into that dungeon and have to do a corpse recovery or lose experience or whatever. It's just not worth the risk. It's right now the better system is I just level and I out level the content, and then I come back when things are gray, and then I raffle stomp things to get the gear I want. That's the current mode of like 95% of Pantheon players, because Joppa and even Bronson on the Discord have commented that like no one's going into Halnir's right now. No one's even trying it, because it's just it's not the optimum way to do things. So he's aware of that. He wants to shift it so it is worth it XP wise, because he thinks that's the key. What do you think about that? How do you think you can get people into Halnir's? Do we have to make it easier? Is that what it's going to take?
This is another real heated thing that's going on in the chat, and it is a problem. I mean, I'll take it from the tank's perspective. So, like I was talking about earlier, we got that whole Ravage thing where it stuns me and kills me. So I'm almost guaranteed to die. Like, there's no doubt that I'm going to probably die a couple times. No one is 100% that good. Maybe I mitigate 80%, 90% of those deaths with good gameplay, or maybe there's a great enchanter in my group. Luckily, I have one that can catch a lot of that stuff, and I can use my stuns as a paladin or use my divine aura, whatever the case may be, to help prevent that. But I am likely to die. Even as a good player, I am likely to die. So the fact that you're asking me to willingly take death penalty for mediocre XP, and it is in fact mediocre. While we were in there for 4 hours, we got nothing. It was so minimal XP, and that was with the death penalty off. So we weren't taking any penalty, and it was still not nearly as good as Manor. So why wouldn't I want to get to my next skill and go back and do stuff? On top of that, they have made the drops very stingy, and we don't know where they're at, and all the good drops are in the cave. But to be able to even get to those items, you can't be wearing your trash armor. That's, I think, where it comes into play, is that maybe they think that by the time we get to Halnir, we've got some armor. That's not the case. I was in there with
leather and cloth.
With leather on. Yeah. That's where tanks are at that moment. If I've grinded to 13, I didn't have time to craft, and even then the crafting, who knows if the AC is working or not. We don't, if that mechanic is 100% accurate or not. A lot of people are saying it's not, so it wouldn't even matter if I had tier 1, tier 2 armor, crafted armor, or any sort of drop, but I don't. I'm using a worn axe and a shield that I got from level 1. That's the stuff that people are going to have at that point when they go to these dungeons. So yeah, I think maybe they expect us to have a certain level before we go in there, but then why have an entrance to a Mad Run or an entrance to Halnir's where it ramps up? Why wouldn't you just say, okay, well, here's what level and kind of gear you need to have from the get-go, and that's when you can come in here, rather than saying, oh yeah, you can absolutely be here at level 10. No, you cannot. It's the risk versus, it all comes down to risk versus reward, right? Like, I need gear, so I need to go into the dungeon to get the gear, but I can't even stand past the initial mobs because my gear is absolute trash, let alone keep the party alive, because I can't keep aggro off because I don't have all of my spells or my entire toolkit. Like,
because your slow butt rusty sword doesn't actually hit anything.
Yeah. Yep. Or it was hidden for 1. Ugh. Unbelievable. This little stat squish they did, I'm glad they did do it, and I get the reason why, because it was already out of hand. And Joppa talked about this on his streams too, where the items that we were getting were way too overtuned, and we were getting, so clearly they are looking at the data, even if it is way out of whack, and they were able to squash that down, get rid of a lot of items that were making it a little imbalanced, and fixing it that way. So I get not wanting to have those really awesome items on, lower level things, but then if you're asking me to go into a dungeon where I'm way under geared to try to get gear, it's a kind of a endless circle of me never getting past level 10 because I'm dying.
Yeah, that's true.
And can't get past the XP debt. So I don't know. It's not in a good place right now. I'm glad that they are addressing it. It just needs to be overhauled pretty badly. And this is another thing that just let me play the damn game is like dying on a cross for. And I get it. It's for good reason. He doesn't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there. I will go in there because I want to see the content, but it's just, I'm glad the death penalty's off, or it was back then. Maybe it's back on when we get in there on Monday, but we'll play around with it. Hopefully I can get reses.
It has to be worth it. That's the problem. It's just not worth it, because here's the other thing that I don't think the devs are really taking into account. When does your group break up? After you wipe. So your worst fear is not that you're getting even the best experience as a pug. It's not that you're getting the best experience. It's that you don't wipe, because you don't want your group to break up, because every time you wipe, it's an opportunity for somebody to duck out of your group. It's an opportunity for that healer to get out, right? Or somebody to get mad, or somebody to get upset, or somebody to rage, and they're going to duck out. And then you have to spit,
as I call, pull a Draq.
They're going to pull listen here. But they're going to duck out. And then you're going to have to spend another hour looking to find a dumb healer. And you might as well just gone to Manor, where it's nice and safe, nobody ever dies, and you just sit there and grind mobs, because your group's not going to break up. And that's the key thing, I think, for a lot of people, is they don't want to get involved in this group that's going to go for, and they're going to spend an hour forming it, and then they're going to spend a half an hour getting in this dungeon, and then they're going to spend another hour getting their bodies, and then the whole group's going to break up. And they're not going to have gained anything. So the dungeon XP has to be
Great point.
greatly intensified to make it worth it, and the outside mobs XP has to be shrunk a lot, because it's way too easy to just sit at Manor and be like, okay, it's snooze fest, I'm gonna hit my nuke, and we're just gonna one pull mobs for the next 3 hours, and it's gonna be super safe. I'm Draq Attack. Stand by for MMO news.
Well, Draq, welcome to MMO News. I've got a very serious question for you. Do you have gas?
I plead the fifth.
Well, since we've spent time together, I absolutely know that after you drink a 12-pack of Mountain Dew that you absolutely have gas. So it's true that you do have it, but that's not the gas we're talking about here. So our friends over at Massively OP,
Massively single player, multiplayer online.
Right. Those fine people on that website, they tend to put out these little opinion articles, and I just find them funny or idiotic, one of the two. It's usually on that spectrum, and this is more of a funny one, and it kind of reminds me of us, Draq. Honestly, we both have gas, and gas stands for gear acquisition syndrome. We are definitely two types of this player. We want everything. We don't want to stop playing until we have everything. Now, I wouldn't say necessarily we are best in slot players. That's fun to play, and that's what made Mischief and Thornblade so fun, because it wasn't just you had a couple best in slot items, you had every best in slot item. It was like you were on a hardcore raid team when you were doing that loot system. So it's awesome. There's so much gear to be had, and I, like Pokemon, gotta catch them all. So this also reminds me of the worst part of MMOs, which is gear management, like your bank system, and having to keep that constantly clean and organized. It goes right hand in hand with me on this one. It just made me laugh. I thought it was a good article to bring up. How do you what do you feel? Am I putting you in a corner saying that you got gas?
Here's the thing. And this is why I call this website Massively Single Player Online MMORPGs. Because what the heck are you doing? Like, what are you playing? Why, if you're in an MMO and you want to play an MMO, the whole point of the whole thing is getting gear. Like, this is the thing. This is what we're doing. Like, getting better gear. Like, there's no other reason to play this game. I don't even understand what the heck that author was talking about. Like, I don't want to feel like I have to get all the best stuff. Well, what are you doing then? Like, what? Just go play Pokemon or something.
Clearly, you're not an MMO player.
Yeah, I just don't understand, Dymlos. I can't even fathom it. What are you doing? How are you playing an MMO in such a way that you don't want to collect the best gear? Like, what? It just blows my mind. I don't understand.
It is fun. I like doing it. I want to have as much gear as I possibly can have. If I have to craft it, if I have to camp a certain camp for hours upon hours, that's why we play the game. And so I'm in
to
for
win
it.
The game. Okay, that's it. We're not playing to tie. We're not playing to lose. We're playing to win.
Mm-hmm. I like it. That's why we have been playing MMOs for a long time. But I'm glad that it drives us. It keeps us to coming back to the game so that we continue to group with other people to try to get these things. It's, and it goes back to that risk versus reward, right? That we were talking about. We want that reward. We really do. So we're willing to take a lot of risk.
We're willing to take a lot of risk. I'm totally down for the risk, but the risk has to be worth it. It has to be.
Yeah. Yep. If you're giving me a big old goose egg and I just die a bunch of times, that's out. How am I supposed to satisfy my gas?
Even to see new content, as we have proved, even to see new content, I won't risk it unless it's worth it.
Yep. So, no, I just thought that this was a funny thing that he had labeled he or she, I should probably say, that they had labeled this as gas. I just found that really funny. I had a chuckle at it, and I thought I'd throw it in our
Super
podcast.
funny, but what the heck are you even talking about?
Clearly, they need to play more MMOs.
All right. We are back to a regular schedule next week. We got the After Dark Monday night, midnight Eastern Standard Time. That is all of us doing Pantheon. We're excited. We're going to be in Halnir's Cave. It's going to be super fun. Make sure you join us for that. Tuesdays is Guild Wars 2 with Drinks and Dragons. Zelik and the crew over there. They're having a great time doing fractals, running dungeons. It's fantabulous. Thursdays, you've got Chaos Theory. They're doing tabletop games right now. They're kind of transitioning into Throne and Liberty, but it's not quite out yet. So they're doing some tabletop games in the meantime. So make sure you check them out. Fridays, Bros Before Foes. If you have not seen this stream, it is hilarious. You need to check it out. They are doing Abiotic Factor. It's kind of a RPG, sci-fi, just building survival thing. It's super fun. You need to make sure to check them out. And then, of course, next week, again, will be the Rewind right here with me and Dymlos, Saturday, noon Eastern Standard Time. We will see you on the streams. Top five. Well, as everyone knows, I am undefeated in top fives, have not lost a single one. And so, we will...
I didn't know this was a competition, and you're the opposite of undefeated. You're fully defeated. You are 0 for whatever, because and yet again, I take that back. The arcade games list, that was a good list, and the Lord of the Rings list. I mean, you can't go bad. So, but now we've got differing opinions on this one. So get ready for the spiciness. Be good this week. So, Draq, give me your number 5.
We start out with a good one because I like a good dessert pizza. So number 5 is cinnamon and sugar. Let's go.
Already, you have completely shit on the top 5 list again. This is supposed to be individual toppings, not specific pizzas. I even said this. I even made some of our raid party go back and change their answers because it was supposed to be one topping, and here you are with your dessert pizza.
I didn't say
that's not
dessert
a topping.
Pizza. I said cinnamon and sugar, and it is one topping.
That's two toppings. You literally have an and in the middle of it. It's cinnamon and sugar.
One topping because what happens is they mix the cinnamon and sugar in the little shaker thing.
That doesn't make it one topping.
They mix it.
If you mix the all meats pizza, it's not just one meat. It's still all meats.
The cinnamon and sugar on top of the pizza as one topping.
Already, the integrity of the top 5 has been washed away. This is your water. This is literally your water again. You have watered this list. Thanks. Number 5 for me, green peppers. I love green peppers. The taste of it adds so much flavor to the pizza without overpowering the rest of the pizza, especially because I put a ton of meat on it. So green pepper, love to have it on it. A lot of people don't like the green pepper. Draq, do you like the green peppers?
Okay, it doesn't really belong on the top 5 list, but I guess it's okay.
Wow, it's a very flavorful vegetable.
If it's in the works pizza and it's covered up by a bunch of meat, then yeah, it's good.
Fair. I mean, I usually do have it with a bunch of meat, but I guess I could probably eat it alone. It is in my top 5. I just never have.
You're gonna have a pizza with just green peppers? Gross.
Yeah, no. But this is when I'm ordering 5 toppings, it's definitely in there. If I can get 5 toppings, these are the 5 toppings I want on a pizza. So, yeah, no, that it's definitely gone in there. Draq, number 4.
Number 4, bacon. You can never go wrong with bacon in any situation. You just add bacon to it. It's fine. It's great.
I don't disagree with you on this opinion. However, I'm going to poop on this one too, because bacon overrides all flavor on the pizza. If you have cooked bacon on your pizza, that's your topping. Like, don't even bother spending money on other toppings because it's just bacon. You're only tasting the bacon. It doesn't belong on a top 5. If you're telling me green peppers don't belong on a top 5, definitely bacon does not belong on a top 5.
I think that's not quite true. It will definitely cover up the more subtle flavors, but if you get some hot Italian sausage and you get some pepperoni on there, it's not going to cover those up.
Agree to disagree. I guess maybe it depends on the bacon as well. The bacon that I have on my pizza could be very different from the bacon that you have in your pizza. But for me, when it gets that crispy stuff and it wipes out all the flavor. So flavor creator myself, number 4, feta cheese. I love feta cheese. It's so unbelievably good on a pizza. It matches the mozzarella so perfectly. Just put a big old chunk of feta right on my pizza. Obviously, I'm tossing some meats in there too, but feta absolutely brings that pizza together for me. So, nom nom nom. You don't like feta cheese at all?
It's gross. Why not just
You're
put
ridiculous. What do you do when you go to a Greek
I don't.
place? Oh, Draq.
Don't go to Greek places. Why not just put
How
a
have
big
you-
old dollop of mayonnaise on your pizza? Like, let me just stick a thing of mayonnaise right there.
Not even close. Not even close. Oh, I love mayonnaise though too. I wouldn't put it on my pizza, but
Yuck.
you know.
Gross. Get it out.
Draq number 3.
Number 3, mushrooms. Got to have a little earthiness to your pizza. The mushroom is not really a vegetable, but it's the most acceptable vegetable that there is. So, my favorite 3, because I like 3 topping pizzas, mushrooms, and then my top 2. So that's number 3.
I can't believe that anybody would want to eat a fungus. Gross. The same way you feel about feta cheese, I feel about mushrooms. Oh God, why would you even put this on a list? It's a fungus. It's basically one step away from poison. Like, why are you eating this? It tastes like vomit. Like, are you just eating dirt? That's gross. And it's all mushy and it's never cooked well. Like and it just usually ends up tasting like whatever you put it in. So like I can deal with mushrooms and like my beef stroganoff when it has a sauce to cover it up and it just kind of is meaty and you lose the flavor of the mushroom. But on a pizza, you absolutely can taste the mushroom and it is
It's amazing.
unbelievably disgusting. Get off this list. Your number 3 is bunk. My number 3, on the other hand, is absolutely wonderful. Salami. Beautiful. Especially with that feta cheese. That's one of my all-time favorite pieces of order. Salami and feta cheese. Mwah. Thank you, Domino's, for being so wonderful and having both salami and feta cheese as an option. And I order that pizza. It's a thin crust salami feta cheese. Just get me going.
First of all, I question
salami. Are you gonna poo-poo on salami?
First of all,
Come
I'm
on.
gonna poo-poo on the fact that you even ordered pizza from Domino's because that's
Domino's is the
it's
best.
The worst. It's the absolute worst.
Oh, next week is top 5 pizza chains. Here we go.
Salami? Are you making a sandwich? Like, what the heck's going on here?
That's the reason I can have it, because they make those sandwiches. So since they have the meat on hand, they're just like, oh yeah, we can throw it on a pizza too. And I do. And it's wonderful. You're welcome.
Sorry.
You're dumb. You have mushrooms. Get out of here. What's your number 2?
Number 2. I mean, it's basically the mother of all pizza ingredients. That's pepperoni. You can't even have a top 5 ingredients list of pizzas without pepperoni. It's not quite my favorite, but it's right up there and a staple. I can eat it by itself. I can eat it with other stuff. It goes great in every single pizza that is out there.
I do like pepperoni. It's very good. It is a wonderful pizza. Remember when they first came out with the double pepperoni? Like that was the staple. It was no longer the like one little piece of pepperoni on each pizza, and they just like really started throwing the pepperonis on there. Oh, I definitely love a good like double pepperoni pizza, or whatever pepperoni specialty pizza they've got. Very good choice here. And you're right, it is absolutely a staple to all pizzas. It is a very flavorful meat. It does not overpower anything on the pizza. You can absolutely taste it, as well as taste the pepperoni as well. So great choice there, Jack.
So
I'm not
great
gonna.
that you didn't even put it on your list, loser.
It does not go on my top 5 list. Yes, you are correct on that. Speaking of my number 2, black olives. I love black olives. I have loved black olives on my pizza from the day I had pizza the first time, because my mother introduced that to me because it was one of her favorite toppings. So anytime I order pizza, I always get black olive on it because it's such a wonderful taste on pizza. Especially with all the meats and the green peppers and black olives go so well together. Love it. Are you gonna hate on my black
I
olives,
mean,
Draq?
again, it lives in the same land
Oh,
as
here
green
we are.
peppers. It's okay if there's other stuff to cover it up, but
I will eat a black olive only pizza.
no,
I will absolutely
get
do
out.
that.
Just
I have done it, and I will absolutely do it
it's
again.
awful. No, it's like
You're
ridiculous. It lives in the land of like 11th and 12th best topping, not in your top 5.
Oh, get out of here. 11th and 12th, they're so delicious and flavorful. It's like a fatty vegetable. It's unbelievable.
But you don't like mushrooms? I don't understand.
Mushroom tastes like dirt. Black olive tastes like fat. Fat is way better than dirt. Well, Draq, I know we wanted to keep this one real spicy, but I guess we are gonna have the same
agree
number
on
one.
thing.
I think this is great. One thing. Here it is. Number 1 topping for both Draq and Dymlos. Go
Italian
for it, Draq.
sausage, not stupid regular
Beautiful.
sausage, not country sausage. If you put country sausage on my pizza, I'm freaking
Unless it's a breakfast pizza. Come on now.
Somebody
Come on now.
at the manager, and I'm asking for my money back.
You're about to pull a Karen and
Karen.
what is this bunk sausage you're giving me here? Get out of here with this country sausage.
Hornell sausage or whatever out of my pizza.
Oh, that's hilarious. Now, I don't necessarily want it to be a hot,
no, it doesn't have to be
sausage,
super spicy, but it needs to have a little kick.
Yeah, little kick. Yep, I totally agree. Because the cheese nullifies it. Whatever hotness is in the Italian sausage, the cheese takes care of it completely. So that's where the flavor of the Italian sausage comes through. It's my number 1 topping. It has to be on every pizza I want to eat. If I'm ordering a pizza, that's the number 1 topping that goes on there every time,
Absolutely.
100 times out of 100.
Absolutely.
Great.
Fantastic list.
I'm glad we can at least agree on this one thing. So we can go back, poo-poo on the rest of your lists, show all the greatness that is my list. I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of hate in the comments. I do have a very eclectic taste when it comes to pizzas. So not a lot of people are going to have these toppings on here, but these are my favorite.
Also, though, all our listeners should definitely put their top 5s. We need to start remembering to say this because we need to have people put their comments of their top 5, whatever we're doing this week, pizza toppings, in the comments.
Yeah, we love
you should
seeing
definitely
that.
put your comments about top 5 pizza toppings so we can mock it.
It also, yeah, I definitely will mock it. I'm about to blast our raid team here real quick. But yeah, we definitely want to see that. We want to see that you're actually listening to the end of the episode. So if you have listened to this point of the episode, put your top 5 in the comments and Draq and I will make comments on your terrible list. So speaking of terrible lists though, oh my God, our raid team is... Yeah, big time. Especially like Screech, pretty good, other than shitty mushroom. Hopefully you've put it up by now. Grogu's got the best list. Honestly, if this was my list, I have no arguments about this list. Even though pepperoni didn't make my top 5, I'm absolutely fine with this list. So Grogu, congrats to you. He told us that he only orders pepperoni. He doesn't want any other topping. Like he originally came out with a list that had other toppings on it, but he's like, I don't ever order anything but pepperoni. And I love that about him. So Grogu, props to you. I'm glad that we convinced you to just pick all 5 pepperoni. I love it. Screech, good stuff other than the mushroom. Pepperoni should be a lot of people's number 1. It's a staple. I'm glad to hear that. Roasted garlic, delicious. Onion, I love onion on a pizza. Yeah, I'm good with it. It adds more flavor. It brings out the flavor of the other stuff. It's more of an enhancer rather than an individualized topping.
I'm such a snob.
Yeah,
I'm a pizza snob, and I have my
I definitely am.
cheese
You
and
don't
my
get to be
onion.
this
I'm gonna
fat
mix
without
my
eating
feta
a lot
cheese
of
and
pizza.
My onion and my black olives, and I'm gonna look down at you. Meh.
Don't poo-poo on the salami. Speaking of poo-pooing on these lists, let's take a look directly at Ziplox's. Number 5, Canadian bacon. You put ham on your pizza? If it's an all-meat pizza, fine. And honestly, if they leave it off of the all-meat pizza, I'm 100% fine with that. Because ham is just boring. Super boring, kind of gross, a little slimy, and
you
not
want to
good.
talk about taking over your pizza. Take Canadian bacon
exactly
takes
right.
it over everything.
And it's never cut up
Never.
properly. When you order Canadian bacon, it comes in a half slice. Like they don't cut it up any further like they do with like chopped bacon or pepperoni. You take a bite out of your Canadian bacon and you rip the whole Canadian bacon off your pizza along with all the cheese, and you've ruined the slice of pizza.
You know where it usually ends up too? All
On
over my
your shirt.
That's exactly where it ends up.
Exactly right. No Canadian bacon. Unless it's an all-meat pizza, even then, no Canadian bacon. I already hate mushroom. Hamburger. Let's get to this next one. Hamburger.
No.
You and I are from Nebraska. We know
The beef capital of the
we
world.
know beef. This is what we do. We put hamburger on so many pizzas. But you know what hamburger is? It's just filler. It has no flavor. It literally is just a way to make your pizza heavier. So how is this on anyone's top 5 list? It's great on an all-meat pizza. Yeah, great if you're putting Italian sausage, pepperoni, and hamburger, or just something else to make flavor. You can't just order a hamburger pizza. That's just cheese pizza with lumps. It's so take it from 2 Nebraska boys. This number 3 is absolute bullshit. Number 2, onion. Again, it's just flavor enhancer. It's not a real. So 4 of your 5, Zip, are absolute trash.
Hot
Your
garbage.
number 1 pepperoni, good. The rest of the list is just terrible. Like you couldn't have done worse on this list. Actually, I take that back. You could do worse, like our 4th raid member, Annoying Llama, who didn't even turn in a list. Why are you in our Patreon? We want you there, and we want you to interact with us.
Maybe he forgot. Maybe
Llama,
maybe
check
he had
your
a busy
Discord.
week.
I added him. I pinged his ass in that Discord, and he didn't even respond.
No one else is going to be a Patreon member because they're going to be like, if I don't do my homework, Dymlos yells at me.
That's not true. I just wanted to give Llama a hard time because this is his first week and he totally failed. It's fine. I don't care. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You can be a part of the raid team and not do it. You just have to tell me, and then I won't hassle you about it. But this time, you didn't say you didn't want to do it, so I'm absolutely giving you a hard time on this. So, and Llama, we love you, but check your Discord.
Nice. To end the perfect way to end this segment, I figured it out. Are you ready for this? You know what? I'm so proud of us all, raid team included, because you know what? None of us put on our top 5 list. None of us.
I do know. I do know. It was going to be on Grogu's list before he changed to all 5 of the same topping. I think. Say what it is.
With none of us put cheese on, as in a cheese pizza.
That's like the second worst topping. I thought you were going to say the number 1 worst topping of all time on a pizza, which is pineapple.
That's also
Savanya, get out of here with that bullshit. That's so gross. Because it matches with Canadian bacon? God, just get out of here with the Canadian bacon and fucking pineapple.
Sav,
I'm about to
awful.
vomit.
All right.
Love it. But you're right. Cheese is boring. I'm glad it didn't make anybody's list.
All right. I think that's it.
We made it. We did another episode. Look at us.
I mean, we just keep cranking them out.
It's good. It's good. The content is good. We kind of kept this one somewhat short.
Ish.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what the cut brings. And that you never know with the cut. Maybe we keep it all in.
Maybe so. Well, yeah, and I know, and like we're excited. We're moving forward. Pantheon is barreling down the street towards early access. So just stay tuned in, guys. Stay plugged into the rewind. We're gonna keep the shows coming, and don't miss anything. We got you. Have a great week, everyone.
We got your back. Bye.